Roman numerals shaped the landscape of mathematics, commerce, and culture for centuries, but not many people know where these symbols came from. In this short video, you will learn the history and use of these symbols and get a brief lesson on how to read them. The history of Roman numerals began back in the 8th to 9th century BC, approximately the same time as the founding of ancient Rome around the Palatine Hill. The numbering system prevailed longer than the empire itself, remaining in common use across much of the known world until the 14th century when they were superseded by the Arabic system. Even though Roman numerals were used by the Roman Empire and were created at the same time as the Roman Empire, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are a Roman creation. Most experts today agree that Roman numerals were originally a copy of the numbering system used by the Etruscans. Of the nations that resided in what would become the Roman Empire, the Etruscans were the most advanced. They developed their own numbering system to represent quantities and conduct various mathematical operations. Dating back as far as 900 BC, they used the symbols line, upside down V, X, and arrow for 1, 5, 10, and 50, respectively. They had symbols for larger numbers as well, but we couldn't find a consensus on what numbers they would represent. Much like the Romans after them, the Etruscans would mash their symbols together to create the appropriate number, only they would write theirs from right to left rather than left to right. An Etruscan equation for 16 would read as 1 plus 5 plus 10 and be shown as I plus upside down V plus X, whereas a Roman equation for 16 would read as 10 plus 5 plus 1 and be displayed as X plus V plus I. The early Roman Empire used this same numbering scheme, but they then started to add their own twists, creating a more efficient system that was uniquely their own. They chose to use the symbol C to represent a value of 100, likely because it was the first letter in the Latin word for 100, which is centrum. They eventually added a D symbol for 500 and an M for 1000. The Romans also had a pretty ingenious solution to shorten the numbers of symbols needed for longer numbers. They allowed for subtraction when a smaller numeral precedes a larger numeral. Therefore, the number 14 would be represented as X, I, V, instead of X, I. In addition to the fundamental symbols used in Roman numerals, the Romans also devised innovative methods to represent exceptionally large numbers with clarity and efficiency. Among these methods were the utilization of vinculum, also known as virgula, and the practice of enclosing numerals within a box. The vinculum, often referred to as a bar or overline, was a significant advancement in Roman numeral notation. Placed over a numeral, it symbolized multiplication by 1000. This ingenious technique allowed furthermore, when confronted with the necessity to denote even more substantial numerical values, the Romans devised another innovative solution: the utilization of a box drawn around the top and sides of a numeral. This practice effectively communicated multiplication by 100,000, thereby accommodating the representation of exceptionally vast quantities. As the borders and influence of the Roman Empire spread throughout the known world, so did its numbering system, carried by merchants, soldiers, and administrators. Roman numerals, with their unique blend of simplicity and flexibility, proved surprisingly adaptable. Carved into milestones marking newly conquered roads, they guided legions and trade caravans. Etched on coins minted in distant provinces, they facilitated commerce across vast distances. Scribes in administrative centers across the empire employed them to record taxes, census data, and the triumphs of the emperors, forging a shared language of numbers that transcended diverse languages and cultures. While local systems might persist for everyday use, Roman numerals became the lingua franca of imperial record-keeping and communication, solidifying their place as a cornerstone of Roman civilization and laying the groundwork for the numbering systems that would shape the future. If you're interested in learning Roman numerals, the first step I'd recommend is to learn the basic value of the 7 symbols shown here. A simple memory aid for this chart would be something like, I value xylophones like cows drink milk. If you think of something better than that, we'd love to see it in the comments below. Make sure you brush up on the Roman subtraction principle. If a smaller numeral appears before a larger one, it is subtracted from the larger numeral. This rule applies only to I, X, and C. For example, Ivy represents 5 minus 1 equals 4. IX represents 10 minus 1 equals 9, etc. With a little bit of practice, you'll be able to easily come up with any Roman number quite easily. If you want a more detailed explanation of the math behind Roman numerals, I would strongly recommend checking out the video in the pop-out above. They do a great job of smoothing the concept out in a way that's much better than anything I could muster. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions or have any ideas for future videos, leave us a comment. As always, we will be actively responding to all of them. Thank you for watching, and we hope you click back soon.